Okay, so I got your questions. We'll just have a look over here. So when you've got the minus a squared, we know that squaring is timesing by itself. So it's a negative a times negative a all over a. When we times negative by negative, we get a positive. So the negatives there cancel out. So you could probably see that. Now you don't have to write all of this. Hopefully you could see that. And now you can cancel that a and that a, and that's why you're left with just a, not negative a, but positive a. All right. When we look over at number 5, question 5e, once again we notice that these are all, can't really see that there, these are all multiplied by one another. There's a times in between, which means you're allowed to cancel out the y plus 2 and the y plus 2 because they are the same factor. You can also see that we've got 5 and 15, and again there's a times in between there, so you can say, well, 5 goes into 15, so 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 15 3 times. So you're left with 1 times y take 3 on the top, and because it's just that 1, then you can write that as y minus 3 without the bracket, and underneath it's 3. All right. Hopefully this is making a little bit of sense to you. With f, we've got again a multiply here and a multiply here, which means x plus 2 can cancel out with x plus 2. We've also got the times with the x. I'm going to write that out so you can see a little bit clearly. You've got x plus 1 in the brackets there, all over, and 3x is 3 times x. So once again, because you've got this times, it means that you can cancel out that x there and that x there. So now you're left with x plus 1 on the top line. If you wanted to write it in the bracket, you can. That's not going to be a deal breaker. All over 3. Right? With 4b2, the idea there is that you have to pull out a common factor. So if we look at the example that the book had, we look on the top line and we ask ourselves, what's the biggest number that goes into 3a and 9? Right? And clearly 3 goes into that. So we're going to pull that out as a common factor. So you pull out 3 and you say 3 times what gives you 3a? Well, 3 times a gives you 3a. And then 3 times what gives you the 9? So 3 times 3 gives you 9. And now because there's a times there, you can cancel out the 3 and the 3. And you're left with a plus 1. Please have a look at this one as well. You're looking for the highest common factor on the top line, right? Highest. You can see that we could pull out 2, goes into both of those, but that's not the highest. 4 is your highest common factor. So have a read of that and we pull it out. Now let's have a go at those first questions. For 4b, make that a little bit bigger. Okay, let's have some bright green here. And we have on the top line, so always look at the top line there and we go, right, what's a number, the biggest number possible that goes into 2 and 4, right? So that clearly has to be 2. 2 times what gives me the 2x? 2 times x. Now you can look at it as saying 2 times what, or you could be dividing this whole thing by 2, okay? Because 2x divided by 2 gives you x. I like to do it with what do I times by. So once again, I've got the plus there, so I put a plus. 2 times what gives me the 4? Has to be 2. All over 2, because there's a multiply there, it means you can cancel out that and cancel out the 2. Then you're left with x plus 2. Now you could write all over 1, but that would look a bit silly, so we can leave it as x plus 2. Onward. Okay, what's the biggest number that goes into 3x and 6? It's 3. So 3 times x gives me, right, 3 times x gives me the 3x. And 3 times what gives me 6, and you've got to put the minus in there too. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. It's all over 3. And we can pull out, or we can cancel, that 3 and that 3. And we're left with x take 2. Keep on going. What's the biggest number that goes into 3 and 6? Once again, it's 3. 3 times what gives me 3x? Has to be x. Put the plus. I put the plus. 3 times what gives me 6? 2. All over 6. What's the biggest number, or can you cancel the 3 and the 6? And 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice. So this time we are left with not just x plus 2, but x plus 2 all over 2. The show goes on. What's the biggest number that goes into 4 and 20? 4. 4 times x gives me 4x, and 4 times 5 gives me 20 all over 8. And we can cancel. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 twice. So we are left with x take 5 over 2. Alright, so look for your common factor. Now, I know you didn't ask, but we'll just do one more, because let's look at a slightly trickier one. I mean, here your common factor isn't just a number, it's a letter, so it'll be x. Let's have a go at question 3k. And we did some of these before. They're on the drives in the class folder, so you could have accessed them. But maybe if you didn't, we'll just have it for you now. Okay, so this is, I think we said it was question 3. Yes, we did. Okay, so if we're looking now at question 3, with this one, we're looking, same thing, look at the top line. Don't worry about the bottom at the moment. Look for the top line. You want the highest common factor. So we look for the numbers first. What's the biggest number that go into 6 and 18? It's 6. But now we look at the letters. And you can see that x is common to both. And our common factor there would be then 6x. Now, if this was a 6x cubed, then we could say 6x squared is the biggest common factor. But for us, it is not a 18x cubed, it's just 18x. So 6x, and we ask ourselves 6x times what gives me 6x squared. So we've already got the 6 there, but x times x is the only thing that will give me the x squared, which is what I want. We've got a minus here, so I pop a minus. 6 times 3 gives me the 18. Now I'm not going to put an x here, because 6x times 3 gives me the 18x that I wanted. If I put an x, then I'd get 18x squared, and I don't want that. I just want 18x. Okay? Downstairs, we look at the 9 and the 27. What's the biggest number that goes into those two? Hope you said 9. 9 times what gives me 9x? It's x. 9 times what gives me 27? It's minus 3. And look at that. Okay, once again, we've got the times there, the times, which means I can cancel out that whole factor. We don't want to just write 6x on 9, because we can see there that 6 and 9 can cancel. 3 goes into 6 twice, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So I am left with, on the top line, 2x, and on the bottom line, 3. Hopefully that helps. Have a go. And again, I'm free whenever you need.